during World War II, Andras Thomas was a soldier in the Hungarian army. But one day, in a battle against the Russians, he was captured and taken prisoner. Yet as the Russian guards took him away to the prisoner of war camp, for some reason, they figured that he must have had some kind of psychological problem. So they dropped him off at a psychiatric hospital for observation. And that is where Andras Thomas remained for the next 50 years. You see, since Thomas spoke Hungarian, and since apparently no one at that hospital spoke or even recognized Hungarian, they thought that he was babbling. They thought he was engaging in crazy talk. And so they figured that he needed to be kept there at that hospital. Finally, though, 50 years later, a Hungarian man visited that hospital. And when Andras Thomas heard someone speaking his native language, immediately he got up and struck up a conversation with the man. And it was only then that hospital staff realized that Andras Thomas had not been engaging in crazy talk all of those years. He had simply been speaking a language that they did not know. Here in our story today from the Gospel of Mark, Bartimaeus was engaging in some crazy talk. At least that's what many of the people in Jericho thought. There was Bartimaeus, the poor old blind man, who day after day, year after year, quietly sat by the side of the road with his tin cup in his hand, desperately hoping that at least someone each day would give him a couple coins or maybe hand him a piece of bread to eat. But for some reason, all of a sudden one day, Bartimaeus started to do some talking. In fact, he started to do some yelling. One day, as that blind man was listening to conversations there on the street, he heard that Jesus was going to pass his way. And so Bartimaeus figured that this was his big chance. This was his big opportunity to have his life changed. And so he called out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." But the crowds along the street turned to Bartimaeus and said, "Bartimaeus, what are you doing? Why are you being so annoying? You're a blind beggar, and you'll always be a blind beggar. After all these years, haven't you learned that yet? Can't you just sit there and keep quiet?" But Bartimaeus refused to listen, and he shouted even louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Well, when Jesus yelled like that, when Bartimaeus yelled like that, Jesus heard him. And Jesus stopped and said, "Bartimaeus, come here. I want to talk with you." And right away, Bartimaeus leaped to his feet and headed in the direction of Jesus' voice. And Jesus looked at him and said, "Bartimaeus, what is it that you want me to do for you?" The people in the crowd probably figured that Bartimaeus would ask Jesus for a little money, or maybe for some help in getting some new clothes. But instead, Bartimaeus blurted out, "Jesus, I want to see again." When Bartimaeus said that, I I'm sure you could have heard some giggling going on in that crowd, with the people saying, "He wants to see again. That's crazy talk. When you're blind, that's it. Won't he ever learn?" But of all things, Jesus said to him, "Bartimaeus, go. Your faith has made you well." And immediately Bartimaeus opened his eyes and he could see. He could see. Because Bartimaeus had been willing to approach Jesus and engage in some crazy talk, asking to be able to see, when everyone around him in that crowd thought that that was impossible and crazy, a miracle took place. In the Gospels, there are 26 different times that Jesus heals people. But it's important to note that in only 5 of those 26 times did Jesus approach the person and initiate the healing. In 21 of those 26 healings, the people who were suffering had to call out and get Jesus' attention. In 21 out of those 26 healings, the people had to be willing to approach Jesus and engage in some crazy talk, asking Jesus to do what everyone else probably thought was impossible before the miracle took place. For instance, the Gospels tell us about those 10 men who suffered from that painful